Hello everyone, good morning. Our topic for today is all about agriculture types, impact of agriculture, causes and impacts of soil erosion, managing soil erosion, and sustainable agriculture. But before we begin, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Hanaminik A. Katubig, and my group mates are Miss Erica Bituya, Miss Seidel Gabilio, Miss Angela Calayon, and Miss Christine Carillo. Agriculture types. What is agriculture? Agriculture is the science, art, or practice of cultivating the soil, producing crops, and raising livestock, and in varying degrees the preparation and marketing of the resulting products clear the land to use it for agriculture. The four types of agriculture. Pastoralism. Pastoralism involves herding of animals, has involved the care of herds of domesticated livestock for 4 millennia, providing a range of services to subsistence farmers. Pastoralism takes different forms depending on ecology, including nomadic because of discontinuous pasture. The second one is shifting cultivation. It involves rotation of crops. It is a mode of farming long followed in the humid tropics of sub-Saharan Africa, Southeast Asia, and South America. In the practice of slash and burn, farmers would cut the native vegetation and burn it, then plant crops in the exposed ash-filtered soil for 2 or 3 seasons in succession. The third one is subsistence farming. It is a practice of growing crops and raising livestock sufficient only for one's own use, without any surplus for trade. It is a form of farming in which nearly all the crops or livestock raised are used to maintain the farmer and the farmer's family, leaving little if any surplus for sale or trade. Pre-industrial agricultural peoples throughout the world have traditionally practiced subsistence farming. The last one is intensive farming. It focuses on increasing the input and the resultant output per unit of agricultural land. In agricultural economics, system of cultivation using large amount of labor and capital related to land area. Large amounts of labor and capital are necessary to the application of fertilizer, insecticides, fungicides, and herbicides to growing crops, and capital is particularly important to the acquisition and maintenance of a high-efficiency machinery for planting, cultivating, and harvesting, as well as irrigation equipment where that is required.
Impact of agriculture is the effect that different farming practices have on the ecosystem around them, and how those effects can be traced back to those practices. So the environmental impact of agriculture varies widely based on practices employed by the farmers and by the scale of practice. So farming communities that try to reduce environmental impact through modifying their practices will adopt sustainable agriculture practices. Negative impact of agriculture is an old issue that remains a concern even as experts design innovative means to reduce destruction and enhance eco-efficiency. Though some pastoralism in environmentally positive modern animal agriculture practices tend to be more environmentally destructive than agriculture practices focused on fruits, vegetables, and other biomass. Impact of agriculture involves impact on a variety of different factors: the soil, the water, the air, the animal and the soil variety, even the people, plants, and the food itself.
The causes and the impact of soil erosion. Soil erosion is the natural process in which the topsoil is carried away by physical sources as wind and water. The rainfall, it is the flooding higher intensity, and the rainstorm is the main cause of soil erosion. The 4 types of soil erosion are caused by the rainfall, which is the rill erosion, gully erosion, sheet erosion, and the splash erosion. The agriculture, the farming practices are the major cause of the soil erosion. The agricultural activities disturb the ground. Also, the tires and the factors make grooves on the land, making a natural pathway for water for the soil particles are the eroded wind. The grazing. The grazing animals practices the major cause of the soil erosion. The agricultural activities disturb the ground. So the logging in the mining. A large number of the trees are cut down to carry out the logging process. And the mining activities also disturb the land and leave the soil more to prone the erosion. And the construction activities. The construction activities of roads are the building expose the soil erosion. The rivers and streams are the following carry away the soil particles leading to a shape erosion activity. And the heavy winds during the dry weather of the semi-arid regions, the minute soil particles are carried away by the wind to the faraway lands. So we have the effects of the soil erosion. The first is the loss of arable land. Soil erosion removes the top layer of the soil and the clogging in the waterways. The agricultural soil contains the pesticides, insecticides, fertilizer, and the several other chemicals. Air pollution, the dust particles merge in the air, resulting the air pollution. And the second is the desertification. Soil erosion is a major factor of desertification. And the last one is the destruction of the infrastructure. So the accumulation of the soil sediment is dumped along the banks can reduce their efficiency.
Let's proceed to the managing soil erosion. So what is erosion control? So erosion control is the practice of preventing or controlling wind or water erosion. So in agricultural land development, river banks, coastal areas, and construction. So in erosion control, there are three main principles. First is use land according to its capability. Second is protect the soil surface with some form of cover. And last is the control runoff before it develops by an erosive force. So there are simple 6 solutions to prevent soil erosion. First is vegetation, contour farming, build retaining walls, windbreakers, conservation, tillage, or mulching. So let's proceed to the first, which is the vegetation. So the vegetation is the simplest and most natural way to prevent erosion. Plants establish root systems which stabilize soil and prevent soil erosion. So a permanent vegetative cover, it is the best protection for soil. The moment vegetation is destroying, the condition became favorable for soil erosion. So in vegetation, there are two principles. First is the soil stabilization, which is the plant root systems binds the soil at the surface, increase strength of the soil, and last is the soil erosion by runoff water and wind is decreased. The second principle is water management mechanisms. So this means that transpiration is the process in water in evaporation from aerial parts such as leaves, stems, and flowers. So water is necessary for plants, so amount of infiltrate water taken up by the roots. And last is the root system abstract water from the soil, which decrease erosion by water. So next is the contour farming. So contour farming or contour plowing or contour banding is the farming practice of level rows around a hill, as opposed to farming up and down on the hill. So it reduces the amount and the velocity of water moving across the soil surface or hill surface. So the water break allows more time for moving the water by infiltrate into the soil and can reduce soil erosion by as much as 50% as compared uphill downhill farming.
So let's proceed to number 3, which is the build retaining walls. So a retaining wall is a structure that keeps soil, rock, and water in place so that it won't be washed away from the rain. So the retaining wall is to one of the purposes prevents soil is eroded by wind, rain, and flowing water, but in most likely to be due to the wind and the rain. So number 4 is the windbreakers. So it means that field windbreaks are linear planting of trees or plant designed to reduce wind speed in open fields, preventing soil erosion and protecting crops from wind damage. So it is also means that field windbreaks are typically planted in multiple rows perpendicular to prevailing winds. It is also windbreaks are usually used in plain areas where the wind moves rapidly, forcefully, which detach soil particles, causing soil erosion. And this windbreaks it can reduce soil erosion from wind, increase relative humidity, reduce evaporation, and increase soil moisture, and protect crops from the wind damage. Wind barriers reduce the speed of wind and soil carrying ability of the wind. So 3 wind breaks protect an area about 10 times their height. Grass wind barriers are more flexible and can be pushed down by high winds, reducing the protected distance to 5 to 7 times the barrier height. So number 5 is the conservation tillage. Means that it is a method of soil cultivation that leaves of the previous year's crop residue, such as corn stalks or wheat stubble, on fields before and after planting the next crop to reduce soil erosion and runoff, as well as other benefits such as carbon store in soil. So lastly is the mulching, which means that in a mulching, a material placed on the soil surface to maintain moisture, reduce weed growth, reduce soil erosion, and improve soil condition. Mulching can help to improve crop yield and optimize water use, reduce soil and water erosion. It is also the covering of the soil with crop residues such as straw, maize stalks, and etc. This cover to protect the soil from the rain drop impact and reduces the velocity of front of the wind. Mulching it is also useful as an alternative to cover crop in the dry areas where a cover crop should compete for moisture with the main crop. So there are examples of organic mulching: the grass clippings, small leaves, wood chips, pine needles, banana leaves, palm fronds, coconut husks of branches. And there are also examples of inorganic mulching, which is black mulch and clear and transparent mulch. So this black mulch means that doesn't allow sunlight to pass, hence arrest the weed growth. On the other hand, the clear and transparent mulch, it allows sunlight to pass and weeds grow.
So what is a sustainable agriculture? The goal of sustainable agriculture is to meet society food and textiles needs in the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. There are many practices commonly used by people working in sustainable agriculture and sustainable food system. Growers may use methods to promote soil health, minimize water use, and lower pollution levels on the farm. Consumers and retailers concerned with the sustainability can look for values-based foods that are grown using methods promoting farm workers' well-being, that are environmentally researchers in sustainable agricultures often cross disciplinary lines with their work combining biology, economics, engineering, chemistry, community development, and many others. However, sustainability is that agriculture is more than a collection of practices. It is also a process of negotiation and a push and pull between the sometimes competing interests of an individual farmer or of people and a community as they work to solve complex problems about how we grow our food and fiber practices. Through decades of science and practices, the following farming is this practice have proven effective in achieving sustainability, especially when used in combination. Rotating crops and embracing diversity is that planting of a variety of crops can have many benefits, including healthier soil and improved pest control. And planting cover crops and perennials is that cover crops such as clover, rye, or herring, pitch, and are the planting during off-season times when soil might otherwise be left bare. While perennial crops is that keep soil covered and maintain living roots and in the ground year around. These crops protects and build soil health, preventing erosion, replenishing soil nutrients, and keeping weeds in check when reducing the needs of fertilizer and herbicides. Reducing and eliminating tillage is the traditional plowing and prepares fields for planting and prevents weed problem but can cause soil loss. And the next is applying integrated pest management or IPM. A range of methods including mechanical and biological controls can be applied systematically to keep pest population under control while minimizing use or chemical pesticides. Grading livestock and crops is that industrial agriculture tends to keep plant and animals production separate, with animals living far from the areas where their feed is produced and crops growing far away from abundant manure fertilizers. And a growing body of evidence shows that a smart integration of crops and animals productions can make farms more efficient and profitable. Adapting and agroforestry is practices. By mixing trees or shrubs into their operation, farmers can provide shade and shelter that protect plants, animals, and water resources, while also potentially is offering additional income from fruit or nut crops. And lastly is that managing whole system and landscape is that sustainable farms treat uncultivated or less intensively is cultivated areas in the integral to the farm. For example, natural vegetable is alongside stream or strips or prairie plants within or around crops. Fields can help control erosions, reduce nutrients runoff, and support bees and pollinations and biodiversity in general. And that's all. Thank you.